Be silent. Think deep. Win quietly. 8 Stoic Principles by Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher known for his wisdom, discipline, and deep reflections on life, suffering, self-control, and inner peace. His writings and meditations continue to inspire millions of people searching for strength in a loud and distracted world. Before we begin, subscribe to Wisdom Without Noise for more deep Stoic teachings that sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and help you move through life with quiet confidence. There are people who announce every move they make. There are people who talk more than they act. There are people who seek validation before they even begin. But the strongest people move differently. They stay silent. They think deeply. They win quietly. Stoicism teaches us that true power does not need attention. Real growth often happens in silence. The most dangerous person in the room is usually the calmest one. In a world addicted to noise, distraction, comparison, and performance, silence becomes a weapon. Deep thinking becomes rare. Quiet discipline becomes unstoppable. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Today, we are going to explore 8 powerful Stoic principles inspired by Marcus Aurelius that can completely transform the way you think, move, respond, and live. These lessons are not just philosophy. They are survival tools. They are emotional armor. They are mental discipline for anyone tired of chaos, betrayal, pressure, anxiety, and empty validation. Listen carefully. Some of these principles may change the way you see your entire life. 1. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. One of the biggest drains on human energy is constantly trying to explain yourself. Explaining your dreams. Explaining your decisions. Explaining your growth. Explaining your silence. Explaining your boundaries. Marcus Aurelius understood something most people never realize. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some people do not ask questions because they care. They ask because they want control. Some people want explanations not to understand you, but to judge you. Stoicism teaches that your life becomes lighter when you stop seeking approval from every person around you. You do not need everyone to understand your journey. You only need clarity within yourself. There is a silent confidence that develops when you stop over-explaining. Imagine a man who decides to change his life. He stops partying every weekend. He begins waking up early. He spends more time reading. He starts going to the gym. He distances himself from toxic friendships. Suddenly people begin questioning him. Why are you acting different? Why are you so quiet these days? Do you think you are better than us? At first he tries to explain. He gives long speeches. He tries to make everyone understand. But eventually he realizes something. People committed to misunderstanding you will never understand you. So he stops talking. He simply continues growing. Months later, his life changes. His discipline creates peace. His silence creates power. His consistency creates results. The Stoics believed your actions should speak louder than your explanations. A tree does not explain why it grows. The sun does not explain why it rises. The lion does not explain why it walks with confidence. Real strength is quiet. Sometimes the more you explain yourself, the weaker you appear. Not because explaining is wrong, but because desperate explanation often reveals insecurity. When you know who you are, you stop arguing with people determined to misunderstand you. There is freedom in silence. You do not need to defend every decision. You do not need to answer every accusation. You do not need to correct every false opinion. Your peace matters more. There will always be people who misjudge you. Let them. There will always be people who criticize your growth. Let them. There will always be people uncomfortable with your evolution. Let them. Marcus Aurelius wrote many reminders to himself because he understood the danger of becoming emotionally controlled by the opinions of others. The moment you become obsessed with what everyone thinks, you lose yourself. And the truth is this. Most people are too busy dealing with their own insecurities to truly understand yours. Stop exhausting yourself trying to be fully understood by everyone. Some chapters of your life are meant to be lived privately. Some battles are meant to be fought quietly. Some transformations are meant to happen in silence. Protect your energy. Protect your direction. Protect your inner peace. Not everyone deserves an explanation. 2. Master your emotions before they master you. Most people are not destroyed by situations. They are destroyed by their reactions. One insult ruins their day. One betrayal destroys their peace. One failure convinces them to quit. One moment of anger creates years of regret. Stoicism teaches that emotional control is one of the highest forms of strength. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself not to become a slave to emotion. He understood that emotions are natural, but uncontrolled emotions are dangerous. There is a difference between feeling anger and becoming anger. There is a difference between feeling sadness and surrendering to hopelessness. There is a difference between feeling fear and allowing fear to control your life. The Stoics did not teach emotional suppression. They taught emotional discipline. Picture a woman working in a difficult office. Her manager constantly criticizes her. Her co-workers gossip about her. Every day she feels pressure building inside. At first she reacts emotionally. She argues. She complains. She carries stress home. She loses sleep replaying conversations in her head. Then one day she changes her approach. Instead of reacting instantly, she pauses. She breathes. She observes. She begins asking herself a Stoic question. Is this within my control? She realizes she cannot control other people's behavior. But she can control her response. Everything changes. The criticism no longer destroys her peace. The gossip no longer controls her emotions. The workplace remains toxic, but her mind becomes stronger. That is power. Most people think strength is loud. Stoicism teaches that strength is calm. The person who controls their emotions controls their life. Think about how many lives are ruined by emotional decisions. People destroy relationships in moments of anger. People lose opportunities because of pride. People say things they can never take back. People make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Marcus Aurelius understood that the mind must lead the emotions, not the other way around. Your emotions are visitors. Do not allow them to become rulers. There will be days when life feels unfair. Days when betrayal cuts deeply. Days when frustration rises inside your chest. In those moments, remember this. You do not have to react immediately. Silence can save you. Patience can protect you. Reflection can strengthen you. The strongest people are not people who never feel emotion. They are people who refuse to let emotion destroy their judgment. A calm mind sees clearly. An emotional mind sees enemies everywhere. The Stoics believed peace begins when you stop allowing external events to control your internal world. And that is one of the greatest battles of human existence. 3. Your mind becomes what you feed it. Most people protect their phones more than they protect their minds. They carefully choose passwords. They install security systems. They protect their devices from viruses. But they allow negativity, gossip, comparison, fear, distraction, and chaos to enter their minds every single day. Marcus Aurelius understood a dangerous truth. Your thoughts shape your reality. What you repeatedly consume eventually becomes part of your character. If you constantly feed your mind anger, you become angry. If you constantly feed your mind fear, you become fearful. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, you begin seeing darkness everywhere. The mind is like soil. Whatever you plant grows. Imagine a young man who spends hours every day consuming toxic content. He compares himself to everyone online. He constantly watches drama. He listens to people complaining all day. Slowly his mindset changes. He becomes bitter. He becomes anxious. He loses motivation. He starts believing life is hopeless. Then something shifts. He begins reading books. He listens to wise conversations. He spends time alone thinking deeply. He removes negative influences. He protects his peace. Months later, he feels different. Not because the world changed. Because his mental diet changed. Stoicism teaches that the quality of your life depends heavily on the quality of your thoughts. This is why silence matters. Silence gives you space to hear your own mind. Silence reveals what truly controls you. Silence exposes mental chaos. Most people are terrified of silence because silence forces self-confrontation. When distractions disappear, unresolved pain appears. Unhealed wounds appear. Fear appears. Insecurity appears. But that confrontation is necessary. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. Marcus Aurelius often reflected deeply because he understood the importance of examining the mind. A person who never reflects becomes controlled by unconscious habits. Be careful what enters your mind daily. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves space in your thoughts. Protect your mind. Your future depends on it. A peaceful mind creates wise decisions. A distracted mind creates confusion. A disciplined mind creates transformation. The modern world profits from your distraction. Stoicism calls you back to focus. Turn off unnecessary noise. Spend time thinking. Spend time reading. Spend time understanding yourself. Because eventually your thoughts become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character. and your character becomes your destiny. 4. Learn to walk alone without feeling lonely. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning how to be alone without feeling empty. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships because they fear loneliness. They tolerate disrespect because silence feels uncomfortable. They remain surrounded by people who drain them because solitude scares them. Marcus Aurelius understood that solitude can become strength. Stoicism teaches that your relationship with yourself determines the quality of your life. If you cannot sit quietly with your own thoughts, no amount of external validation will bring peace. There is a difference between isolation and intentional solitude. Isolation weakens. Intentional solitude strengthens. Picture a woman who recently lost close friendships. At first she feels abandoned. Every evening feels heavy. The silence in her room feels painful. She constantly reaches for distractions. Music, social media, television, anything to avoid being alone with her thoughts. Then slowly she begins changing. She starts journaling. She begins taking long walks. She reads. She prays. She reflects. For the first time in years, she begins understanding herself. She realizes she spent most of her life trying to fit into spaces that never truly valued her. Solitude becomes healing. The loneliness that once terrified her becomes clarity. This is one of the greatest powers Stoicism offers. The ability to enjoy your own company. When you learn to stand alone, you stop tolerating people who destroy your peace. You stop begging for attention. You stop chasing validation. You stop settling for shallow relationships. Because you realize peace is more valuable than forced connection. Many people are surrounded by crowds yet still feel lonely. Why? Because external company cannot heal internal emptiness. Marcus Aurelius spent much of his life surrounded by responsibility, pressure, war, and politics. Yet he constantly returned inward. He understood that inner stability matters more than external noise. You must become someone who can survive silence. Because life will eventually force solitude upon everyone. There will be seasons where people disappear. There will be seasons where support feels distant. There will be seasons where your journey becomes deeply personal. In those moments, your relationship with yourself will determine whether you break or grow. Learn to sit quietly. Learn to think deeply. Learn to enjoy your own presence. A person comfortable alone becomes incredibly difficult to manipulate. Why? Because they no longer fear abandonment. And once fear disappears, freedom begins. 5. Discipline is greater than motivation. Most people wait to feel motivated before they take action. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect energy, the perfect opportunity. But Stoicism teaches something different. Discipline matters more than feelings. Marcus Aurelius did not wake up every day feeling inspired. He was an emperor dealing with war, stress, political conflict, betrayal, sickness, and enormous pressure. Yet he continued showing up. That is discipline. Real growth often feels boring. It feels repetitive. It feels uncomfortable. But discipline creates freedom. Imagine a student preparing for important exams. Every morning he wakes up tired. His friends spend time relaxing while he studies. He feels discouraged because progress seems slow. Some days he wants to quit. But instead of depending on motivation, he builds discipline. He studies anyway. He wakes up anyway. He keeps going anyway. Months later his life changes. Not because he felt inspired every day. Because he remained consistent. The problem with motivation is that it changes constantly. Some days you feel powerful. Some days you feel exhausted. Some days you feel uncertain. If your actions depend entirely on emotions, your progress will remain unstable. Discipline allows you to continue even when emotions disappear. Stoicism teaches that greatness is built through repeated small actions. Quiet consistency. Not loud announcements. Not temporary excitement. Not dramatic promises. Daily discipline. Most successful people are not superhuman. They simply mastered consistency. They kept going when others stopped. They stayed focused when others became distracted. They remained committed when others lost patience. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to fulfill his duties regardless of comfort. He understood something powerful. Your feelings are temporary. Your responsibilities remain. This mindset changes everything. Because once you stop negotiating with excuses, your life begins transforming. You begin trusting yourself. And self-trust is one of the strongest forms of confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your mind becomes stronger. Every workout completed. Every difficult conversation faced. Every distraction resisted. Every early morning conquered. These moments build character. The world celebrates talent. Stoicism respects discipline. Because talent without discipline eventually collapses. Discipline is quiet. It does not need applause. It simply continues working. Even when nobody notices. Especially when nobody notices. 6. Do not chase revenge. Let time reveal everything. One of the most painful experiences in life is betrayal. Being lied to. Being used. Being underestimated. Being disrespected. The human instinct is revenge. To prove something. To hurt people back. To expose them. To fight endlessly. But Stoicism teaches a different path. Marcus Aurelius believed that becoming consumed by revenge only poisons your own soul. The person who wronged you may already have moved on. Meanwhile you remain trapped in anger. Revenge keeps you emotionally attached to the people who hurt you. Freedom begins when you release the need to retaliate. Picture a man betrayed by a close friend in business. The betrayal costs him money. It damages his reputation. He feels humiliated. For months he thinks constantly about revenge. He imagines arguments. He wants public justice. But eventually he realizes something. His obsession with revenge is destroying his peace more than the betrayal itself. So he changes direction. Instead of chasing revenge, he focuses on rebuilding. He improves himself. He works quietly. He learns from the experience. Years later his life becomes successful while the bitterness that once consumed him disappears. That is Stoic strength. Not weakness. Not surrender. Wisdom. Stoicism teaches that people eventually reveal themselves through their actions. Time exposes character. You do not need to destroy every person who wrongs you. Life often handles that naturally. Some people lose trust. Some lose opportunities. Some lose peace. Some become prisoners of their own behavior. Meanwhile, you must protect your mind. Anger is exhausting. Hatred is heavy. Resentment drains life from the soul. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that humans are imperfect. People make mistakes. People act selfishly. People behave dishonorably. Understanding this reality helps reduce emotional shock. Expecting perfection from people creates constant disappointment. This does not mean allowing abuse. It means refusing to become emotionally destroyed by human imperfection. The best revenge is often silent growth. Moving forward. Finding peace. Becoming wiser. Building a better life. Because nothing confuses people more than seeing someone they tried to break become stronger. Do not waste years fighting battles that no longer deserve your energy. Protect your peace. Protect your future. Protect your soul. Not every wound deserves revenge. Some wounds deserve healing. 7. Accept what you cannot control. One of the greatest sources of suffering is trying to control things beyond your power. Trying to control people. Trying to control outcomes. Trying to control the future. Trying to control life itself. Marcus Aurelius believed peace begins when you separate what you can control from what you cannot. This is one of the foundations of Stoicism. You cannot control how people treat you. But you can control your response. You cannot control every circumstance. But you can control your mindset. You cannot control the past. But you can control what you become moving forward. Imagine a father who loses his job unexpectedly. Fear immediately enters his mind. He worries about bills. He worries about his family. He feels ashamed. For weeks he spends every day overwhelmed by panic. He constantly thinks about everything going wrong. Then one evening he realizes something important. Worry is not solving anything. So he changes his focus. Instead of obsessing over what he cannot control, he focuses on what he can do. Updating his resume. Learning new skills. Applying consistently. Remaining emotionally stable for his family. Slowly his mindset changes. The situation remains difficult. But he no longer feels powerless. Stoicism does not promise an easy life. It teaches resilience within difficulty. Life will always contain uncertainty. Illness. Loss. Disappointment. Unexpected change. The question is not whether hardship will arrive. The question is whether your mind will survive it. Many people suffer twice. First from the problem itself. Then from their mental resistance to reality. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is clarity. It means seeing reality honestly instead of emotionally fighting what already exists. The Stoics believe that emotional peace becomes possible when you stop demanding that life unfold exactly as you planned. Sometimes doors close. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes plans fail. Sometimes pain arrives without warning. And yet life continues. The river keeps flowing. The sun keeps rising. Your story keeps moving. Do not allow uncontrollable events to destroy your inner world. Adapt. Learn. Move forward. Because often the strongest people are not those who avoided hardship. They are those who learned how to remain steady within it. 8. Build a life so strong that silence becomes your power. There comes a point where true growth becomes quiet. You stop announcing your plans. You stop seeking validation. You stop arguing with everyone. You stop proving yourself constantly. You simply build. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. Marcus Aurelius understood that inner greatness does not require performance. The strongest minds often move in silence. Think about nature. The ocean does not announce its depth. The mountain does not announce its strength. The moon does not ask for attention. Real power speaks softly. Imagine a young woman whose life once revolved around social approval. Every achievement had to be posted. Every emotion had to be shared. Every struggle needed external comfort. But over time she changes. She begins protecting her goals privately. She works silently. She studies quietly. She heals quietly. People notice something different about her. She no longer seeks attention. Yet her presence feels stronger. Why? Because peace creates confidence. There is something powerful about people who no longer need constant validation. They become grounded, focused, emotionally independent. Stoicism teaches that your energy should be invested in becoming better, not appearing impressive. Many people spend years trying to look successful. Very few spend years building true character. Character matters. Because eventually appearance fades. Status changes. Opinions shift. But character remains. A disciplined mind. A calm spirit. A wise heart. A resilient soul. These things create lasting strength. The world is loud. Everyone is competing for attention. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants instant recognition. But Stoicism teaches patience, depth, stillness. Not every victory needs an audience. Some of the greatest transformations happen quietly. The person overcoming depression quietly. The person rebuilding life after failure quietly. The person healing from heartbreak quietly. The person working on discipline quietly. These are powerful battles. Never underestimate silent growth. Because while the world chases noise, wise people build substance. And substance always lasts longer than attention. At the end of life, people rarely regret being too quiet. They regret wasting years chasing approval, distractions, ego, and meaningless noise. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that peace begins internally. Not from applause. Not from popularity. Not from status. From self-mastery. So stay silent when necessary. Think deeply before reacting. Move carefully. Build patiently. Win quietly. Because the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. And the calmest mind often carries the greatest power. Final reflection. Life becomes different when you stop needing the world's permission to grow. When you stop explaining yourself constantly. When you master your emotions. When you protect your mind. When you learn to walk alone. When discipline becomes your identity. When revenge no longer controls you. When acceptance replaces resistance. When silence becomes strength. These Stoic principles are not easy. But they create something rare. Inner peace. And in today's world, inner peace is one of the greatest forms of wealth. Most people are fighting invisible battles. Most people are exhausted mentally. Most people are searching desperately for stability. Stoicism offers a path. Not a perfect life, but a stronger mind. Marcus Aurelius understood that external chaos will always exist. The goal is not controlling the world. The goal is controlling yourself within it. So the next time life becomes loud, remember this. Be silent. Think deep. Win quietly. And if this message spoke to you, subscribe to Wisdom Without Noise for more timeless wisdom, Stoic philosophy, and powerful lessons that help you become mentally stronger, emotionally calmer, and spiritually wiser. Keep growing. Keep building. And keep moving in silence.